I wanted to share about small groups. Last week we had a Serving Together Sunday, and this was one of the little stations that we had, which was through in room 1. But actually not very many people got to room 1, which was a little bit of a disappointment. So I'm going to say a little bit about this morning, just very briefly, because the small groups are starting up again over the next 2 or 3 weeks, and we want as many people as possible to be involved. Hands up if you're already or have been last year involved in a small group. So, quite a good number. That's brilliant. We're thrilled with the number that are involved, but we want more people to be involved in these. And we have a list of 12 groups on the sheet, and you'll find a copy of this sheet on the notice board outside. So, if you can totally forget everything I say, you can go and have a look at the sheet to remind you. 12 groups all have their own little different emphasis, and one emphasis may suit you more than another, possibly. They're on different nights. Most are on Thursdays, but there's a group on a Tuesday and a group on a Wednesday as well, so there are different options. Most of them meet fortnightly, although not exclusively. Just to point out a couple of kind of newish groups. One is the Moorfoot group meeting in the Cardiff's house. Is going to be led by John Perkins. It's unusual because it meets on an afternoon. It's the only one meets during the day, so if that suits you better than meeting in an evening, then that may be the group for you. It used to be run by Jean in her home in Switchback, but it's now going to be John Perkins in Moorfoot Way. There's another completely new group, which I think there was maybe a notice earlier for, that Don and Lorna McLean are going to be leading. It's called a life group, or the life group. It's based on the model that they used out in South Africa, in Cape Town, when they were there for almost 5 years. And they don't do any Bible studies. Now, it's not because they don't like the Bible, but they share life with each other. They have a small meal to start with, just share what's going on in their lives and pray. And so if you want to connect with that brand new group, starting, when does it say? 5th of October. And then you've still got a couple of weeks to kind of think about it, pray about it, and sign up with them. Groups that are perhaps needing some new members. Numbers have dropped slightly, or maybe they've just always been small, but they would like to see more people. Are the Anchor group, which June and Dave lead over in their home, well, hybrid, sometimes on Zoom. It has a bit of a specialism, particularly for families with children with special needs or children on the autistic spectrum. So that's the Anchor group. There is the Baljaffrey group, meets at James and Jess Payton's house. There's going to be a mix of leadership for that, so quite who to speak to, maybe James or Jess in the first instance. So you can speak to them about that. The Blainfield group. Now, if you're prepared to do just a very small amount of driving, you can tootle up to Strathblain or Blainfield and become part of that group. You don't have to live there to be part of the Blainfield group. Speak to Katrina Henderson. And I've already mentioned Dawn and Lorna. Just one other thing is that the Mary Hill group has changed its name to the West End group. Presumably it sounds posher. Much posher, yeah. But it still meets in Mary Hill, in the home of Cindy and Adam McLean. At the moment, the person to speak to would be Graham, down at the front here, with his hand up. And again, they could do with some more people, I'm sure. But just to explain what that group is, it is just the Mary Hill group with a different disguise. It won't be starting again until October, because Adam and Cindy and the family are in South Africa at the moment, meeting or visiting Cindy's family. So it'll be a bit of a later start. So all the information is on the sheet. Go and have a look, speak to the appropriate person. If you're not quite sure who to speak to me or one of the deacons, and I'm sure we'll direct you appropriately. So, small groups, exciting times.